Welcome to the second episode of Anupali. Let me first say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers of this land. And I do hope that you had a wonderful Father's Day with your family, with your children. I commend you for taking up your responsibility as fathers and embracing the role you can play in building strong families, the basis of a strong society. I especially want to shine a light on the single fathers of Dominica. It is not often that we acknowledge the efforts of our single fathers. And there are many of those men in our communities who are making the necessary sacrifice to ensure their children have the best opportunities. I want to highlight and thank those fathers among us who work hard to feed, clothe, and educate their children, all on their own. We see you and we recognize the role you play in bringing up children who can be well-meaning, contributing members of society. I want to take this opportunity to shout out some of you who are doing your best, despite your challenges, to provide a safe and nurturing environment for our children in which they can thrive and be happy. I also want to take the opportunity to encourage those farmers among us who are slacking off to take up your responsibilities. A father's role in a child's life is indispensable. If it means paying up because the court has mandated you to do so, then do it. Make sure your child support payment is in at the end of the month. But really, it should not have to get to that stage of mothers taking us to court. Take up your responsibilities from day one so that your child is always given the best. But more importantly, I encourage us fathers to be there emotionally for our children. Let us show them love and affection. Material support is good and necessary, but it is not all. Let us show our children always that they are valued so that they can develop into confident, well-adjusted members of our society. But my dear friends, before we move into our discussion this week, I want to bring you up to date on a few of the things we have been up to this past week. As we reopen the economy and make plans for the reopening of our borders, there is so much to consider. Our first priority remains the safety of our citizens. And so we are putting measures in place, engaging various stakeholders, and developing guidelines to minimize the risk of any further infections when travelers begin to come into the country. Even as we contend with the impact of COVID-19, we continue to focus on the business of improving the lives of the Dominican people. As I mentioned in the first program last Sunday, 254 families benefited from new housing this past week. On Wednesday, we handed over 64 keys to residents of Grand Fond. On Thursday, 122 residents of La Plaine and Dalis received keys to brand new homes. And on Friday, 67 residents of Saint-Sauveur, Good Hope, Petit-Soufrière became proud new homeowners. And I am very happy for all of them. The commitment of this government has never changed. Our aim is to revolutionize housing. There is a long-held view that the gateway to eliminating poverty is access to decent housing with improved sanitation. We remain focused on providing our people with decent homes in which to raise their families and live in comfort. These interventions come at the start of the housing season. And I am happy for the peace of mind that has been afforded these families. We are fulfilling our responsibility to keep our people safe, especially during the hurricane season and beyond. When we talk about building resilience, these are the measures we are talking about. Policies that impact the lives and livelihoods and put people in better positions to provide for and protect their families. Also, this past week, I assumed the rotating chairmanship of the OECS authority. This comes at a time when we are facing, as a region, challenges brought on by COVID-19. These challenges are compounded by the threats posed by the hurricane season. As I told my OECS colleague heads on Thursday, my focus and our focus will be on finding common ground with the reopening of our borders, given the realities of COVID-19. I also identified the need to develop a common approach to improving telecommunications services within the sub-region to ensure that all citizens, no matter their economic or social circumstances, have access to reliable digital services, especially for educational purposes. I am also focused on strengthening food security, not only in Dominica, but throughout the sub-region. This, I believe, has become even more of an imperative as we face successive disasters in the form of hurricanes, this COVID-19 pandemic, and other such emergencies. My dear friends, recent events have highlighted the importance of safe and affordable food supplies for the peoples of the region, and also the opportunity to increase production for export. We in Dominica are well placed to take the lead in this effort, and tonight I will spend some time talking about just that. Tonight we also have with us Mr. Shane Carrier. And as you know, this government has demonstrated considerable commitment to small business development over the years. The objective has always been to inspire and assist young people to forge their own paths in business, in entrepreneurship. We want citizens with interest in all fields of endeavor to take charge of their financial well-being and of their future. Today, as I indicated, I have invited a young businessman, Shane Carrier, to talk to us. But in this case, I am the one who is inspired by the initiative and drive I have seen from this young gentleman from Portsmouth. He is here with me today because I want him to serve as an inspiration to those of you who may be considering monetizing your skills, making that jump, and setting up your own enterprises. Shane Carrier is the proprietor of Carrier Systems, a local and regional installer of professional IT networks. They do cabling, cable TV, surveillance, and access control. I want to welcome to this program, Anupale, this evening, Shane Carrier. Welcome, Shane. Shane, incidentally, is my former student at the PSS, and he reminded me some time ago that I also taught him at the State College. Well, back then, the CIFOCOR. Shane, welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. The pleasure is ours. So tell us about the business. When were you established?
Carrier Systems was established in 2009. At that time, I was building my home and I needed additional income. And what we decided to do was to, like you said, monetize the skill. Currently, we own an office in Portsmouth, and at that office, we provide a myriad of services. The services that we provide are in ICT solutions, surveillance, access control. We also provide solutions in renewable energy, electricals, audiovisual, and building automation systems.
Shane, I mean, you were not an old man like me. I mean, how old were you when you started your business?
I was 26 years old when I decided to go into that type of business. And like the company says, it's a solutions company. And we saw the need for those solutions with the small businesses around.
Sounds good. Tell me, why did you decide to make the jump into business also? I know you spoke about you need to make extra money, but what other reasons I know money is the driving goal of any business, but why did you decide to go into IT, for example?
Well, it could be very challenging as an individual going into business, and what you would notice that most customers don't trust an individual with their systems. They rather deal with a company. So they kind of empower themselves by knowing that, okay, a company will take care of their solutions. But why IT is that we notice that most of our businesses here, they lack the technical support, and that now put them at a disadvantage with their competitors.
But I'm also interested in the challenges you face and the successes as well. How are you growing your business and contributing to your community at the same time?
Some of the challenges that we had with the business is mainly human resource, finding skilled young persons with that drive, persons that want to get involved in that type of technology. Challenges that we had again was financial, being able to invest. We did not have that capital to invest how we'd want. Ways in which that we grow the company is by cross-training our staff. We also forge good relationships with our vendors to supply us with good products, good support. Those are ways that we tend to grow the business.
I also know in our discussion some time ago, you have explored the creative solutions in the field of agriculture. For example, you developed this solar powered irrigation system using solar panels. Tell us about this.
Yeah, that's one of the cost-effective solutions that we have at Skerrit Systems for the young farmers, or small farmers, you should say. And not all farmers have access to the Wasco or water under pressure for irrigating their farms. So what we did is that we designed a system using pumped solar panels, storage tanks, where farmers who cultivate near rivers are able to pump water to a storage tank and irrigate their farms, irrigate it through gravity flow, or even through pump pressure. That's how that we created that solution, especially for farming, so that they are able to water their fields and so on.
So this system is fully automated?
Currently, the system is not fully automated, but it is designed to be that way.
Okay.
We actually removed that component so that it could have become more affordable in the startup.
Okay, I get you. Now, many young people in Dominica have great ideas, and I know they want to be their own bosses, chart their own paths. What advice would you give to people who may be considering venturing out on their own?
Most successful entrepreneurs, they go into business for something that they're passionate about. Without the passion, there's no business. You also have to understand the risks. You have to be comfortable with the risks. You have to do research. Market research is who are your customers? Who are you going to sell to? What are your products? Is it in demand? You also have to look at other factors that no one might think about, you know? So those are some of the things that people have to look at. You also have to remain committed. Consistency is key. You also have to be able to think outside the box, come into business to manage with a clear head. Only then you can see reward.
Now, you in small business, you spoke about some of the challenges that you had, some of the successes that you had. But based on your experience in the market, what policies or measures do you believe we, the government, can consider to, one, cause you to sustain your business, two, cause you to make more money, and three, to make you rich? I mean, because you're in the business to make money and to create a better way of life for yourself. What policies and measures do you believe this government can consider to facilitate your business enterprise?
Well, generally speaking, not only for my business, but for small business in general, I believe that government, they have done so already, but they should continue to at least make the young businesses know all the avenues that are available to support them, and make sure that those facilities are published in all relative medias. Also, I believe that the government, they should, at least for registered businesses that have started within 1 year, have some either tax breaks so that they could actually catch up with themselves. I also believe that the government should actually try to encourage local businesses by creating a national point system where support local, you'll be able to gain points by buying local. Those points you can now use to offset duties, taxes, or government fees.
No, I mean, I had a discussion last night and I met with some young people, and some of them were saying to me that they never heard about the Youth Business Trust, for example. And so I agree with you that one of the things we need to do in the government is to promote some of the offerings that we have to support small businesses. But in respect to additional sources of access to financing, if you were to advise me on setting up a small business development fund, what are some of the terms and conditions you would advise me on?
Well, starting off a business, like we all know, takes a financial burden. So the advice that I would give is to incubate that business. Incubate the business and have it available through financing for partnership owners.
And then the national points you're talking about. So we have a card, we go to your business and any other small business as residents or citizens, we procure services and points are given to us.
Points are given to you.
Yeah. And in the tax breaks you're talking about, what about tax breaks we're talking about?
Well, for developing businesses, the tax break that we're talking about, for example, is import duties on products. If you're starting a business and you're bringing in products to resell or products to even install, tax breaks on those products so that you can actually kind of build up the business for the first year.
Yeah, we've had a piece of legislation, a draft legislation, the Small Business Development Bill, I believe, that we have been toying around for some time. I based on what you're saying, I believe with some additional improvements, this might be a piece of legislation that would address some of the challenges, not all, but some of the challenges that you're proposing there. But we want to thank you very much. You know, I said to young people, we have lots of positive people out there. I have the greatest admiration. Shane serves as an inspiration to people like myself. You know, at 26, he could have set up his own business. At 26, he could have started the construction of his home. At 26, he could create jobs for his fellow men in this country. And I know that there are many such people like Shane out there, and we need to reach out as citizens and residents to supporting them. You know, thank you, Shane, for making the time to speak to the country, because I believe that we need to have people like you speaking to the public, speaking to us in Dominica, and let us understand that there are a lot of positive things happening in our country, and let us highlight these things, and let us reach out and look out for people like Shane and procure services from him. So I want to thank you again, Shane, for your commitment to our country. It's our country. We are young people. We have to work to build our country so that we can bequeath a better Dominica to our children. And again, I have taken note of some of your suggestions, and you may very well, you shouldn't be surprised if you find some of those suggestions in my budget address sometime soon, somewhere this year, so that we can see how we can sustain the investment of small businesses like yourself. Thank you very much. We will take do you have any parting words for the young people in particular? Or for all of us?
Well, I would just like to say to the young people, especially young entrepreneurs, believe in yourself. If you're passionate about something, believe in it, trust in it, and go ahead with it. Thank you.
Solid words. Could not say it better. Thank you very much, my friends. Let me take a 2-minute break and we'll come back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. As we recover from the impact of COVID-19 and rebuild the economy, agriculture will take a prominent role. As everybody knows, I am passionate about this sector because I recognize the many opportunities to expand and to get into production of new crops for local consumption and for export, importantly. There are also nutritional and health benefits associated with this. And, I do a little farming. I consider myself to be a subsistence farmer. I have tried squash, I've tried cantaloupe, I've tried honeydew, and all of these things grow in Dominica, and I understand that they're very expensive in the supermarkets. I believe that there are options that farmers in Dominica can also look at. Melons, not only seasonal melons, but year-round. We're talking about sweet peppers. The yellow bell peppers, the red bell peppers. I know we have done some white bell peppers in Portsmouth at the Chinese Agricultural Technical Mission, and we've also done purple bell peppers in Portsmouth. You're talking about broccoli and cauliflower. These things fetch for high prices at the supermarkets. Squash, I understand squash is about $11 a pound or $13 a pound in the supermarkets. Cantaloupes, we import cantaloupes. And I'm saying, but why don't we grow cantaloupes and sell cantaloupes here? We can grow cantaloupes. I have tried it in Vekas and down in Roseau, and they've done well. I see the Chinese are doing this exceptionally well in Portsmouth. Mushrooms. I mean, mushrooms cost about $19.38 a pound. I mean, if we put a few greenhouses and we get a few farmers to grow mushrooms, I mean, your dollars can mushroom. Your dollars can mushroom. So there are a number of things that we're doing, that we can do, that we have to do in Dominica, and so we have to address the high import bill. People say the food import bill is high, but we consume it. If we want to reverse it, we have to support locally grown produce. Growing local and buying local can help grow the industry, boost the economy, and create jobs. Keep our monies here, prevent us from sending all this foreign exchange out of Dominica. I strongly believe in the potential of the agricultural sector, and I am pleased with the work I have seen over the past months to re-engage farmers and get them back to their farms. We are seeing a targeted effort to involve small and backyard farmers, and that's good. We have more Dominicans growing their own food, eating what we grow and growing what we eat. So tonight I have invited the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Fidel Grant, to join me to tell us some of the initiatives underway in that sector. I know the efforts of our farmers must be complemented by measures in trade to assist them with marketing and the sale of their produce. And so the Trade Minister, Honorable Ian Douglas, is also here with us. Gentlemen, welcome to Anupali. I have been told by the public that they were excited of the fact that you were going to be on agriculture and trade. This is something that is very important. And there are questions which the public have asked me as their chief servant to ask you. So any question I ask you, coming from the public, I'm just reporting or asking the question on their behalf. And so one of the questions they've asked me to ask you, Mr. Grant, is, and by the way, good evening to Wesley and Palm Tree and Woodfordale, especially Palm Tree. What assurances can you give to our people that we are in fact reaching the farmers who need assistance under the World Bank funded project, and that distribution is equitable?
Good evening, PM. Good evening to the viewers and listeners. Happy Father's Day to the fathers of Wesley, Woodfordale, and Palm Tree. As it relates to the World Bank project, in order to benefit from that project, you must apply. You must fill out an expression of interest form under the project. That form, after it's filled out, an extension officer or a team of extension officers along with monitoring officers from the World Bank will visit your farm and verify your holdings. After verification, a team of technical professionals would verify what your application is saying, and your application is approved or disapproved. In instances where your application is disapproved and you're not satisfied as a farmer, you can then apply through the grievance process that is available in the World Bank project. But it is important that I inform the viewers and the listeners, specifically the farmers, that in this program we have zero political influence and interference. Thus, the farmer has been satisfied with the delivery of the program to date. Yep.
Now, there's a concern from the farmers with regards to land ownership. So, for example, I have had a challenge in Penville where the farmers do not own the land. They have applied, but they're not qualified. What actions has the ministry taken to assist those farmers in my area?
That concern has been dealt with just about 2 months ago, where we have written to the World Bank and we have asked that they modify the program so that farmers who had land issues could benefit. So in terms of the requirement for land, that has been replaced with a receipt that you have been selling to either Dexia or another supermarket, or you have been a farmer and you have owned, or you are a holder of a produce seller's license. So what we have seen over the last few weeks is an increase in terms of the number of persons who have expressed interest. So what I would like to urge the farmers who have not applied because of that difficulty, they should go into the extension office. Forms are available across the country for filling out.
Now, this is a $67 million facility, all grants to the farmers. What are we putting in place to ensure that these investments have a lasting impact? And it is not a one-off. You don't speak patois, so people say it's a cool wash. It was a one-off impact. What are we putting in place to ensure that 5-10 years down the road we can see the impact of this $67 million on the economy?
A key component of the program is monitoring and evaluation. So we have monitoring officers who go out to the farms constantly after you have received your package and benefited from the project. So they would go out and they will continue training you in how do you apply your fertilizer and so on. They will take out a record of your yield so that to ensure that, okay, I was at 1,000 pounds before, I moved to 2,000 pounds. That sort of measurement is being done. Also, it's important that we emphasize that as it is now, under the program, persons are receiving packages of up to $20,000. That is an investment in the farm. We know if you save money, you earn money. And that is putting back money into the farm that you could have done other things with.
No, $20,000 in my view in agriculture is a lot of money. The other question that they've asked me to ask you, because there is the notion that there are not young people involved in agriculture. So they've asked me through one of the Facebook posts, what is the Ministry of Agriculture doing to encourage more young people to get involved in farming and fishing? Can these young people also benefit from all of these programs in the Ministry of Agriculture? If
they're existing farmers, yes. Yeah. In terms of benefits from the government, over the years, in terms of fishing, we have seen substantial investment in terms of boats. So for instance, over the last 5 years, we had several boats being built locally, and these cost in the region of between $20,000 and $30,000. We would also provide engines to the young fishermen. So for a young fisherman deciding to go into fishing, you will have received a $35,000 investment in the initial stages. So what does that mean? On your first catch, you could now save money, feed your family, and have money set aside for fuel without any overheads outside of what you would have on a daily basis, because you have no loan. And these are the kind of investments the government has been making in terms of fishing. In terms of agriculture, as it is now, there is still money available at the aid bank at 2%. So persons who are interested could apply under that facility. A lot of the young people have been complaining that we do not have lands, or I do not have access to lands. We have been working with the Ministry of Lands to identify areas that have been designated for farming. So if a young person, for instance, in the area of Westerwood Fotel is interested in farming, they could fill out an application with lands and surveys, and then a piece of land of 2-3 acres could be assigned to them for that purpose. So we provide you with low-cost financing, we provide you with the land, and occasionally we provide you with inputs in the event that you're looking at to.
And my understanding is that these lands will be leased to these young people at $1 per annum.
That is correct.
$1 per annum.
Yes.
The state lands.
Yes.
Okay. Now, tell us in our country, what are we producing and exporting in large quantities these days? I know, notwithstanding COVID-19, we continue to export to islands that are receiving the crops and so forth, or produce rather. But tell us, which are the crops that we are producing and exporting in large quantities?
Okay. The ministry recently conducted a survey or did some research in terms of production and what are we producing. You know, as a new minister, I wanted to understand what is the industry doing, how are we doing it, and who is doing it. So I had meetings with Dexia, I had meetings with the Hucksters Association, the large exporters. I visited farms, the large holdings, the small holdings. And as it is now, we are traditionally exporting, what we are exporting is the traditional crops. The yams, the cassava, dasheen, green bananas, plantain. But interestingly, during the COVID period, we have seen a spike in terms of ginger and turmeric. You know, so that is an area that the ministry is paying close attention to. There's also a demand for our passion fruit. As it is now, we are exporting it as pulp and in the raw state. But what we have realized that as pulp, you get a better price for your fruit. So these are the areas that in demand and exporting and producing in large quantities at the moment. But as it is now, the ministry with the partners at the Chinese mission are looking into different crops. As you indicated earlier, as it is now, we have a fully cultivated greenhouse with over 400 cantaloupe plants, which would be ready in about a month's time. I mean, the greenhouse may be 20 feet by 30 feet, and then from that greenhouse, if you are a commercial farmer, you would likely to yield somewhere in the region based on the price of the cantaloupe at the time, between $10,000 and $15,000 from that one greenhouse within 2 to 3 months, because that's the time it takes to yield in terms of the cantaloupe.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we talk about the yams and the dasheens and the gingers and the plantains and so forth. But there are also a number of agricultural produce that we import into the country. I mean, we import watermelons.
Sad but
true. I mean, I have a watermelon there. I mean, let me, I like people to, I want to show people. I mean, what is wrong with this watermelon? Why are we importing watermelon from elsewhere? I mean, this watermelon came from Salisbury. This is from Hillary Shillingford, a big farmer in Salisbury. I bought this from him and so forth. I mean, why are we buying watermelons from overseas and spending $400,000 in sending foreign exchange out to Dominica? You can imagine $400,000 in the hand of Hillary Shillingford and others in Salisbury? Yep. I mean, so I believe that we in Dominica, we need to watch our consumption practices. We can grow these things in Dominica. This is a watermelon. Though I have grown bigger ones than that in my family. But this is thing. I mean, we have this peppers. I have been told that this is about what, $13 a pound?
Per pound, yes.
13? 30. 30. I mean, you're a knife or something? I don't know. I mean, is a knife? It's $30 a pound on this thing. I mean, I want to see whether we have gold dust in these peppers. I mean, this thing came and caught. That thing almost like robbery. I mean, I have seen much better qualities from this in our country. And so this is, I'm disappointed that there's no gold dust in this thing. And I'm not even sure these seeds can grow. I mean, we really have to go into those areas and to see whether we can eliminate the need for imports into our country and to get our farmers to benefit from this. This is $30, I'm told, $30 a pound. So there are opportunities there, I believe, that we have to look at. And I suspect what the Ministry of Agriculture may want to do is to identify farmers. Cantaloupe, this is small. This is, you can always put in your pocket. I mean, we down on the Chinese technical mission, the quality is much better. The size is bigger. And if you're suffering from diabetes, you have to stay away from this thing that will grow here in Dominica. It's sweet, and I have tried it, and it grows. And so we need to maybe encourage farmers to go into those crops, so that the 300,000-400,000 we're paying to import cantaloupes in Dominica, we can grow those things here in our country. This is a small cantaloupe, and I understand that is about $9 or so, $9.30 a pound. You understand? So it's something that we need to look at going forward. So I believe that there are huge opportunities in agriculture.
But in response,
Yeah,
response to that, what the ministry has decided to do, what we are looking to do is establish estate type farms. So as it is, we are working now in collaboration with the Chinese. So what you will find is 5 to 10 acres with 2 to 3 crops that is available all year round. So as it is now, we have just about maybe 7 greenhouses that we are going to install. We have acquired the land. We have some preparation work to do. But in terms of making certain commodities, bell peppers, cantaloupes, and so on available, we are going to tackle it with an estate type farm. So what you will find is a group of young people who would be owners of the estate would be working to produce these specialized crops. And of course, with the Ministry of Agriculture, along with the Chinese mission, would be providing the technical assistance that they need. So we're not just going to give it to them, we're going to work with them until they have become established farmers.
But I would like to support you on this, because the concern we have had is that sometimes you have $10 and you spread it too thin and you don't see impact. I think we need to focus on a few farmers, empower them with these crops, see how it goes, and see if we can expand it. So I believe this is a wonderful way to go. But the other thing we have, Grant, the challenge of labor, farm labor, and the work ethic of farmers. I mean, farmers tell me that if you get a good farm laborer, you're lucky. But sometimes guys come at 7 o'clock, they leave at 11 o'clock. They have to take their breakfast on that 4-hour job and so on. Then if they have people who consume the spirit of man, they have to, throughout the day, consume a few drinks. I mean, how do we address the work ethic of farm labor? And what can we do to overcome this challenge?
The issue of labor is something that the ministry has been paying special attention to, because several farmers has complained to the ministry as it relates to the cost and the availability of farm labor. Due to the shortage, we have seen a skyrocket in terms of the price of farm labor. So the ministry's response to that, through the World Bank project, what we have been doing is providing a lot of tools. So we have augers, we have tillers, we have swipers. So this eliminates a lot of manual labor that the farmer would require. Also, what we are doing is we are looking at doing a small unit in terms of mechanized machinery, large tractors and so on. We will be receiving a donation in a few months' time from the Chinese mission in terms of small equipment that the different regional offices could then provide to the farmer. In addition to the donation from the Chinese mission, we as a ministry will be purchasing our own tools in terms of mechanizing the farm operations. But in terms of the cost of labor, we have been speaking with the labor division. We have spoken to the Attorney General's chamber, because what we recognize is that good labor sometimes could run you $120 per day. And that is the price that is set by the laborer, but not by any institution or by any standard. So that is something that we are reviewing with the support of the labor division and the Attorney General's chambers.
I think we should take some questions. I understand the numbers are 611-3400 and 225-3400. So 611-3400, 225-3400. You could either send a WhatsApp message or you can call directly. Questions for the Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Fidel Grant. While we wait for questions from the public, the abattoir. The abattoir was established to take advantage of the market, local market, especially where poultry parts are concerned, chicken parts are concerned, and also pork. So we started with these two meat kinds. Is this a viable option for farmers? The rearing of chickens and pigs to be slaughtered at the abattoir?
Yes, it is viable economically. As it is now, we have reviewed the operations at the abattoir. We have noted some challenges in terms of the cost. As it is now in Dominica, we don't have an hatchery, so we import the chicks. We don't have a feed plant, so we import the feed. It's important to note that as it is now, in terms of duties on the feed, what you have is 3% environmental charge and the 1.5%. So there is no VAT, there is no import duty on the feed. But what we realize is that the farmer does not have the capacity to purchase a container of feed, so they purchase it in small portions. So what we are looking to see is how the abattoir could get involved in purchasing the chicks and the feed and subsidizing the price to the farmers, because that would lead to a reduction in the cost per pound of the poultry and the pork as well.
But farmers are also telling me, look, Skerrit, I bring 5 pigs to the men at the abattoir. Yes, the phone call, please.
Hello.
Hello? Hi,
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity to reach you guys. Hey, happy Father's Day to all the fathers on the program also.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Mr. Grant,
Good evening, sir.
how you doing, brother?
I'm good, thanks.
That's good to know. So far, PM, you've been having a very wonderful program. You've had a young entrepreneur like myself, and now you have Minister of Agriculture, way up my hand. I really appreciate the opportunity to really speak to all you live like that and expressing my feelings. First, as a young entrepreneur and somebody that in agro-processing, there's a few hiccups I think that we could work on and make life a little bit easier for us young entrepreneurs. One of those areas is that in terms of administrative assistance, I think too often young entrepreneurs have to go through the struggle and the bottlenecks of making progress in a business when the administrators not doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, I've been trying to get a plan approved for my facility, and it's almost a year now, and nobody making it happen. Every time I call, it's one story after the other, and every day is another issue. To add to that, I was part of a contingent that went to training last year. We were promised that when we came back that some of our needs, the ministry would meet some of our needs, especially in the procurement of equipment. Probably not even to say buy the equipment for us, but to help us get the equipment to Dominica when we purchase them. Since we come from China, nobody's telling us nothing. Another question I also have, and a very burning question, is to the PM in relation to the COVID relief that is available for young entrepreneurs and business owners. I struggling with the fact that the monies have been made available, but I don't understand it, and I need a clear understanding of what the money is there for and how it is going to be to my benefit. As far as I understand it, we have to bring invoices to every piece of equipment or whatever it is that we want to use the money for. We have to bring invoices for that. Now, somebody like me, I want to have a working capital. I also want to close up some of my debt. I also want to pay up on some of my loans. I also want to have money available to buy more raw materials. As I am right now working, I I'm making more, I'm doing more business, and I get less money. And it's because of how my business is structured. So I welcome the fact that the money is available, but as to how the money is going to really affect and impact my business moving forward, I'd really like a clear understanding as to what is its role and how it's going to affect me and benefit me as a young entrepreneur and as a business.
Thank you very much, sir. We have noted your questions, and I'm not sure, Grant, you want to respond to some of the concerns he has raised and maybe provide some advice?
I think I know the caller quite well. In terms of the agro-processors, agro-processors fall with the Ministry of Trade, but we have been discussing bilaterally in terms of how it is that we can provide assistance. And we have recognized that the machinery and the availability of machinery is an issue. So we are discussing that as we speak in terms of how government can assist. We are also reviewing in terms of the duties, but I would like to tell the agro-processors out there that the Ministry of Agriculture, under the Farmer Incentive Program, we do provide assistance to agro-processors because we recognize the agro-processors provide a critical role to our farmers in terms of the consumption of production and in other cases when there is excess production. So we are reviewing in terms of the agro-processors and in terms of the import duties and the availability of machinery.
But I also want to say to my friend from Cardibiche that as a small business owner, you can in fact access concessions through the government system. There is and I think we need to, in the government, we need to educate and inform the public much more on some of the fiscal incentives that are available to them as small businesses in our country. So, and we take note of the concerns that you've raised, and I'm sure Minister Grant would reach out to you on your specific concerns. Now, I was saying that there are people who complain to me. I get WhatsApp messages saying to me, look, I sold chicken to the abattoir, but I haven't gotten paid. Well, why is that happening? Well, why people, I mean, a man brings 100 birds to you, there's 600 pounds of meat, you paid him $4.50 or thereabout a pound of meat, he needs those funds to reinvest. What's going on at the abattoir that people are getting paid?
Payment to farmers was a challenge in terms of the government machinery in terms of payment. As it is now up to March, we have paid all farmers in full. And we have recognized the challenges that we have, and we have just completed a review of our entire processes in terms of the time a farmer gets paid from the time that we would have picked up his animals from his farm. So we should see some improvement within the next financial year, as early as July.
But don't we have an impress account at the abattoir that they have that they can write checks directly to the farmers?
That's how we operate as it speaks.
Yeah. So you're saying going forward, a farmer will bring his produce, his chickens or the pigs. You will wait. You'll tell him it's 500 pounds and he'll get paid in quick time.
That is correct.
You're giving the people the assurance.
I'm giving the people, the farmers.
You heard it from Mr. Grant. So let us take a message here. My question is: my mom lives in Good Hope. She has a lot of ginger and turmeric. Her complaint is lack of hucksters. Who can she contact to sell her produce? Ian?
Yes, PM. That falls squarely under our ministry, the Ministry of Trade. But let me first of all say good evening to all your listeners, and thank you very much for inviting me and my colleague, Honorable Grant, to this program. It was very interesting and very engaging. And we in the Ministry of Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, Innovation, Business and Export Development, that question comes squarely under our mandate in our ministry. And you know, we have DEXIA, Dominica Export and Import Agency, which is really responsible for all export of fresh produce out of Dominica, and that's what the question is really talking about. And since the onslaught of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen an increased demand for ginger and turmeric. I can tell you, on average, we have about between 30 and 40 crockers bags of ginger and turmeric each leaving our pots on a weekly basis. So you can
But what's the I mean, if there's an increased demand out there, are we meeting the demand? Because this lady in Good Up is saying, I mean,
yes,
she's saying that she has ginger and she's looking for huckster.
Oh, I mean, all you have to do is to contact the pack house. We have 2 pack houses, one in Roseau, one in Portsmouth. The pack house in Roseau is run by Mr. Bristol Lawrence, and the one in Portsmouth is run by Mr. Cliff Sesha under Dexia. And on a weekly basis, we buy turmeric and ginger, especially for the Matnik market. So
do we buy from who we know, or do we buy from everybody? Because and so forth.
We buy from everybody. But what happens is we have some regular farmers under our farm support program that we deal with. Some farmers that we sign contracts with, and they supply us with all of the fresh produce that they have. But that doesn't preclude us or exempt us from dealing with all of the farmers. So when a huckster or a trader makes an order at the pack house, we call all of the farmers around Dominica to source the produce, the fresh produce that they want.
So your advice to this lady from Good Up is that if she makes contact with the pack house,
yes,
they will facilitate the purchase of her ginger and turmeric.
Absolutely. And they have a mechanism where they can come and pick up the ginger and the turmeric from you.
And you say that these are not just words?
No, PM, these are not just words. You can take that to the market.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We have a phone call. You heard it from Minister Douglas, okay? You surely to get your produce sold by the pack house. Yes, caller, please.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, sir.
And happy Father's Day to all of you today. I do also have fathers.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Same to you, my friend.
Okay. On behalf of the local produce, when we had a melon, I went to the different business places, and they all refused to buy the melon. They said they rather import. And I find it was kind of hopeless for our own people importing the melons from out there than buying the melon. Now, on the other hand, I must big up Lindomat, because the same bell peppers you had in your hand a while ago, Mr. Prime Minister, we have had hundreds of those peppers, and Lindomat is buying them from us. Every time Lindomat is buying, so I must big up Lindomat. Now, on the other hand, my problem, I have a problem, and the problem I have is that I do not want to be a sometime-ish farmer when it comes for livestock. I would like to know, when will Abattoir be able to purchase at least 50 to 70 pigs per month? Are they going to start exporting the pork, or is Dexia or the Ministry of Trade going to combine forces with the Abattoir to start exporting pork? Because I can tell this much, it makes no sense trying to sell one pig or 2 pigs every month. I am already known to supply 50 pigs per month to the Abattoir, and I would like to know what is the plans of the Abattoir moving forward, because right now I don't find it making much progress in the field of pork, because I mean, going to the stadium to sell pork on a Saturday is not enough. I want to hear that we are ready to export, we're ready to package and export. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
Thank you very much, caller. Very sensible questions and suggestions there. But this is a democracy, and people buy what they want to buy. So I think we have to start with us consuming local. And when we go to the supermarket, we should demand from the supermarkets our local produce. And I think once we can increase on our consumption of local produce, then I believe we can get to the 50, 70 pigs per week. or even 100 pigs per week. So this is one thing I believe that it is in the hands of us, the consumers in the country. Now the issue of watermelons being imported, the question is, should the government consider tariff on these watermelons, as we do with white potatoes when we have it in season? So I think we may need to engage ourselves and to see what kind of protection we can give within the framework of WTO, within the framework of quoted all of the trade agreements which the country has with member states of those organizations. Now, Grant, Ian, you guys don't mind I call you Grant and Ian because I know ministers when we call it honorable minister or something. Okay, you can call me Skerrit. But yes, people are saying to us, the question is this: what is in place to ensure that the produce products, fish, are sold at a reduced price to the consumer? If they receive, they should give something back. So, meaning, you get a free boat, free motor. Why aren't those things passed on to the consumers? The savings there. You get free fertilizer, free planting material, free equipment, implement. You get monies for your farm labor. You have NEP working for you. Mr. Grant, Ian?
One of the challenges we've had, because with Dexia, we have what is called the support program, agricultural farm support program, where we provide the farmers, our contracted farmers, with inputs, with fertilizer, with planting material, with some technical support in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture. But what you find is, after having received all of that, especially fertilizer, when the crop is ready for harvest, the farmer sort of, quote unquote, breaches the contract and sells the produce to a huckster who is willing to pay him more than the going rate per pound of the particular produce. And that is the problem that we're having. So it is not that there's a lack of production. There is production, but the farmers sometimes do not keep to their agreement and sell the produce for Dexia, or make the produce available to Dexia as the terms of their contract would dictate.
But people tell me Dexia is a waste of time. They were telling me Dexia take their produce, and when they come looking for money, Dexia hiding under the Rosa River.
I mean, to a certain extent, PM.
But why would Dexia be taking people's produce and not pay them?
That's one of the perennial challenges that we have had, because in the huckstering trade, most hucksters come to you in the pack house or in Dexia, and they say, okay, give me $40,000 worth of produce. I need to sell the produce in Matnik or in St. Martin, and when I am paid by the supermarkets that I supply, when I come back on the return trip, I'll pay you for what I took. And then they run up credits of massive amounts, and then you just don't see them. They avoid coming to pay. They go straight to the huckster instead. So it's a sort of cat and mouse
So
you know, and
both parties have some challenges.
Yes, very much so. And then we don't want to stop receiving the fresh produce from the farmers, because that is their livelihood. That's how they survive.
But we'll come back to this in a while.
Okay.
There's a question from the public. Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening to you, Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit.
Good evening to you,
Happy
sir.
Father's Day to you and to all your guests and to all your listeners on island and all your listeners in the diaspora. I am calling from Bridgeport, Connecticut. You probably know who we are. Good evening to everyone. I would like to say thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for providing.
You may want to turn off your radio or your television. I mean, I know you give me a nice speech there, but we're hearing you.
Yes, hold on a second. Actually, I was reading off.
Can you speak up, please?
Yes. Can you get me better now?
Yeah, I mean better. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. I would like to say, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for providing for all on the island in shelter, education, health, you know, and etc., even in infrastructure as well. And as I was saying that I'm calling from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and you probably know who we are, all right? What I'm calling about, it's about it's to the gentleman, Mr. Grant, Honorable Mr. Grant. Good night, Mr. Ian Douglas.
Good night.
It's to Mr. Grant. Kind of nervous there. It's about the aquaculture program that we have going on in Dominica. All right. I, for one, I'm a young person. I should not call myself old, but due to retire probably in the next few years from today. At this present time, I'm thinking about going back to get a secondary education where I could study about, agriculture and marine wildlife. Because I, for one, think that prices of fish is a bit too expensive. So I'm also thinking of maybe, if God help me, in starting a business of my own, sorry to compete with the agricultural department, going in business of my own, where we in Dominica can produce fish at a cheaper cost, even invasive species of fish, like for instance, salmon, trout, bluefish, carp, and etc.
Yes. Can you get to the question, please? Quick, please.
Yes, yeah. Yes. So what I'm saying is the agriculture farming, fishes farmers there, are they going to start farming fishes like salmon and trout as well, where they could sell to the public at a cheaper rate?
Well, Grant?
Well, if the caller has an interest in terms of farm fishing, the ministry along with the government would be willing to provide whatever assistance is necessary to assist him. But as we know, as Dominicans, it is difficult to transition into new things. So it's going to be hard to get a fisherman off a boat and into a restricted area to do farm fishing. However, it is something that the ministry is looking at. As we speak, we are rehabilitating our aquaculture site in terms of prawns. We should see that coming on stream soon, the hatchery. And that's one of the areas that we are focused on for now.
Also, let me just add to that there is a young entrepreneur in the Portsmouth area, to be more specific, in the Brandy area.
Right.
When he knew that the Kapinski was going to be established and to be open, he actually established a shrimp pond area with about 5 or 6 ponds in the Brandy area, and had already started delivering shrimp, and was doing very well before the COVID caused the closure of the hotel. So that is another area in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation within the Ministry of Trade that we would be willing to work, with young entrepreneurs.
But it would have to be private sector driven, supported by government.
Absolutely.
Now, tell me, there are markets in Barbados, for example.
Yes.
They want our dashings, they want our yams, and other root crops. But only if we can supply on a regular basis. What is the Ministry of Trade, Dexter, the Park House are doing to ensure that we can take advantage of this market?
Yeah, you are right. At present, we have a boat called the Scottish Sky, which goes to Barbados, and Barbados literally wants a 20-foot container of bananas on a fortnightly basis. And we have sent so far, I think, about 2 shipments, and it's looking very promising in that market, in addition to all of the other crops. Right now, we have boats supplying the British Virgin Islands, Antigua, Guadeloupe, Montserrat, Anguilla, Martinique, on a weekly basis. And so it is just for farmers to produce for us. Some of the major crops we're talking about are dashing. Of course, we ship dashing to the United Kingdom and to Miami. We have a market there for dashing, and dashing is also doing very well in the region. We have plantains. Plantain is doing very well. There's an outfit in Antigua making plantain chips, so ask us for more. And
but I've been told that we are not able to supply this operation in Antigua with sufficient plantain to sustain the plantain chips.
I believe about, let's say, within the early part of the year, February, March, just when we had the COVID onslaught, we had some issues with the scarcity of plantains. But in the last 2 to 3 weeks a month, we've seen the harvesting of plantains coming on stream. And I was actually quite surprised to learn that outfit in Antigua couldn't find the amounts.
So you're saying that we have fixed that problem?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have been in contact with the Minister of Trade in Antigua. And
excellent.
Yes.
All right, thank you. A phone call, please.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, good evening to you.
Hi, I'm calling from the diaspora, and I just have a few questions. Just two. So my first initial question is, as a young woman who wants to research with Dominica and open a business of her own, how do I go about accessing information to what lands I can purchase or lease from the government in order to start that business? I went through land and surveys. I've been trying to do this for a few years. I went through land and surveys, and this year I went again, and they told me that the process has changed. Because originally I did find a piece of land, but because of Maria, the land was run over by the river. So I talked to Mr. Walsh in land and surveys, and he told me that the process has changed, and I'm wondering, who do I have to contact now?
Well, in terms of government lands, is the Commission of Lands, a gentleman called Mr. Lestrade. I'm sure he will be able to direct you and to facilitate your particular request. Obviously, this will have to go to the minister for his final approval, but the Commission of Lands, the Chief Surveyor, Mr. Lestrade, is the point person on this to facilitate your access to government lands. Now, Ian, I mean, we have the Ministry of Trade.
Yes.
Don't you believe that the Ministry of Trade needs to be restructured? Because I find that we are focused mainly on WTO, European Partnership Agreement, quoted. I mean, what does that have to do with a farmer in Penville or in Dalis? I mean, don't you think that we need to restructure the Ministry of Trade and have a unit or within that Ministry of Trade focusing on market intelligence, and facilitating farmers with access to market information outside Dominica?
Yeah, you're quite right. And as you were speaking, myself and Minister Grant, we were smiling because from the time that the new government was put in place and the cabinet was put in place, myself and the minister, that has been our thrust. We've met with a combination of the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Agriculture, and we told them exactly what you were saying.
Okay, you guys have been ministers since December 17th or thereabout. Yeah. So when are you going to advise the Prime Minister, Cabinet on the structure?
Well, we basically told them they need to hit the road running. They said that they want to set up this information system where the officials from the Ministry of Trade can plug in information and extension officers.
But that sounds like people who are trying to put black wool over people's eyes. I mean, what all of these fancy things have to do with telling me that they're marketing Barbados, telling me that they're marketing Antigua, and going out there and putting this produce on a boat and so forth. I mean, it's not that we have human resources there, staff, create the unit. I mean, we created a unit for the European Partnership Agreement in 2 days.
Yes.
So, can we say 2 weeks? You get to us in 2 weeks?
Absolutely.
So when I bring you back in 2 weeks' time, you can tell them that it's in place?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. We have identified the officers in the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Agriculture to spearhead that initiative, so we can report to you in 2 weeks.
And these are not only sweet-sounding words?
No, not at all.
I know it's Father's Day, so people say also things Father's Day, So I was checking the ladies and gentlemen.
Not at all.
These guys, they will come in on an easy program. But I'm only asking you a question the public is asking.
Yes.
So these questions are not originated from me there. Brent, there's a caller.
Hello?
Any caller? No?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon. Is that the program on the BDS radio?
Well, that's the program of the Prime Minister, Anupali.
Good afternoon, sir. How do you do?
Greetings. Good evening.
Some people call you World Boss, some call you World Bank. With the program, with the gift that the World Bank is giving, I have run into a lot of people who are willing to farm and farm big, but they are farming with fear. The fear that they are confessing is that when all what they are planting shall have come in, Minister of Agriculture, how will they get it off their hands? The fear that they have is that there will be a glut and a lot of things will go down the drain. We do not want the World Bank book to go down the drain. So it would be wise, we suggest. We were advised, let me suggest that if an agricultural boat or ship could be bought and you open market in the region, this week you buy the north, next week you buy the south. Because we do not know if tourism will survive again in the Caribbean with this epidemic that has come and plague the world. What do you think? Give us some substantial confession, Mr. Minister of Agriculture. We are listening.
Thank you, caller. Grant?
The caller raised a concern that we as the ministry and even from the World Bank project standpoint, we have been discussing. As it is now, we recognize the markets are available. We know the markets are available. The challenge we have with the markets presently is the fact that we are not consistent in our volumes. As it relates to our taste, our fruit, our produce is the best in the region and in some instances the world, and we know that. However, a large exporter from another island is not going to take a container from you this week knowing very well he's not going to get a container next week. So the consistency in terms of the production has to be there. And the Minister for Trade alluded to that earlier when he spoke about the forecasting system that we are working on as we speak. But the key for us is to be able to forecast properly with reliable information so that we can meet the market demand consistently.
Now, when we set up in the government, the Agriculture Investment Unit, and I am satisfied that it has not lived up to its objectives. Because the idea behind the Agriculture Investment Unit was to have a recognition for commercial farmers. So there's a separation between commercial farmers and subsistence farmers. And to put in there the technical support, the business development support, the business management support to farmers involved in this. So this group of farmers, so you would have the 100 farmers who are vegetable farmers, the 50 root crop farmers. And that group would essentially be able to supply the markets with about 80% of the produce required. And then those of us who are subsistence farmers will provide the 20% that we're currently providing. I would want to submit to the government that we may need to revisit the operations of the Agriculture Investment Unit. And the intention there was that when we place the monies at the aid bank, agricultural funds, that we would have entered into an agreement with the farmer to say, okay, well, we're lending you $40,000. You're going to plant plantains. You will need to produce a yield of 12 tons of plantain per acre. If you achieve this, then the principal amount of the loan will be reduced, say, by 5 or 10%. So if you keep to that consistency of supply, and that's where you're going to get now accountability. So that when you give farmers money, or farmers get a loan at 1% or 2% at the aid bank, that men don't use that to buy a motor car for their girlfriend. Or they take the money to go to St. Martin or a cruise. You can see it in the farm, and there is a building up of those investments so that they 10 years down the road, you can see where these investments went to. Are you looking at, you the new minister, are you giving any thought to this? Do you agree with me or you disagree? You can say if you disagree with me, you can say that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
I wouldn't want to say that I closed it on it by temporarily put it on hold.
Okay.
As we retool in terms of where do we want to go and what are the objectives that we want to achieve. So as it relates to the farmers, we are doing an experiment in terms of the bananas. So what we have done is we have grouped all the large farmers. And what do we consider to be large? Large is 5 to 10 acres or more. So yes, if you do have an acre, we'll consider you a farmer, but we focus in on the 5 and above acreage so that we know that there's a consistent amount of produce on the market. But we would be investing in those farmers to ensure that there's a consistent production on the market.
So what I'm hearing from you, Minister, is that you are bringing now your experience in business to agriculture, to take agriculture to a more serious level.
That is the goal, yes.
Excellent. Now, Ian, I mean, farmers need support, they need access to financing. Dexter cannot get money to pay the people. I don't know why, but Dexter say they have money. I don't know. They have the exclusive license to import rice and sugar in bulk. Sugar is a dangerous thing to all of us, our health and so forth. And I want to hear from the public, because somebody told me, why don't we increase the price of sugar? Say 10 cents a pound or whatever it is. And you put that money into a separate account, into a separate fund that Dexter now would use exclusively to help pay the farmers. And not only farmers, but manufacturers as well. So Dexter would purchase the supplies using that fund to export.
I think that is a brilliant idea. I think that is a brilliant idea, PM. What you are actually doing is you're creating a ready source of financing, of funding, of resources that will be replenished, notwithstanding the hucksters' lack of payment for the produce received at the packhouse, to ensure and to guarantee that the farmers always have payment.
That would also serve as a bridge financing.
That is correct.
For the hucksters.
Yes.
So that the hucksters don't have to wait a week or 2 weeks later to pay the farmers. He can pay the farmers
right away.
Cash on delivery.
That is correct. That is right.
And everybody benefits.
I think farmers would be happy with that initiative.
But I would like to hear from the public, what do you think about increasing the price of sugar and putting this money into a separate account or separate fund that could be used for the payment of agricultural and manufactured goods for export into the country? That could also be used to provide bridge financing to the hucksters so that the hucksters can pay the farmers cash on delivery. What do you think about this? We have a caller, please. I am sure Greg, what's the guy named? Greg Thomas must be laughing, smiling about this suggestion.
I'm sure, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Or Paula Plasko or something, you know. Yes, caller, please.
Yes, hello, good evening.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes.
What do you think about imposing an increase on the price of sugar?
And having an increase in production.
You hear me?
Production without having irrigation. I would like to know what are you all doing to repair the irrigation system that is existing right now.
No, I didn't get this, sir. The irrigation system.
What are you all doing to repair the irrigation systems on the island so we can increase our production? Because you cannot have production without irrigation.
Well, you need water, yes. You need water. You need access to water. I think, in respect to the irrigation, I believe you're speaking about the irrigation system in Castle Bruce and in Calibishi. You would know that this was established on private lands. And we're going to need the cooperation of the landowners, especially in Castle Bruce, on the stretch in Castle Bruce, to facilitate this. What the government was looking at is, one, the possibility of acquiring those lands and putting it into the hands of farmers or people who are interested in making use of those lands. And secondly, or getting those landowners to enter into a lease agreement with prospective interested farmers to cultivate those lands. Because the challenge you have is that the owners are not utilizing those lands. And so to go in and invest an additional sum of money before you can have people who are interested in farming, you're going to have a challenge. In Calibishi, this is a massive irrigation system. And I believe that there were some discussions in looking at what needs to be done to...
There's an overflow.
There's a challenge there, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
In Calibishi, we had some issues with the land as well, but there are some functional issues with the pipes. So we are looking at it in terms of how, because quite a few of my farmers from my constituency farm in that area. And
I know Calibishi, they're using the lands there.
Yes.
So we're giving greater attention to Calibishi first.
Right.
That's correct.
The irrigation system and the farm roads in that specific area.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what are the timelines we have for this? Can you tell the public at all?
Well, COVID had delayed quite a bit, so we are hoping that in the next few months, hopefully or within the next 6 months, bearing in mind that COVID goes away, that we can pay some attention to it.
Okay, okay. But what we agree, Caller, irrigation is critical to agriculture. Now, Grant, we are, you also have the responsibility, the portfolio responsibility for the blue economy. This is the first time we have had a nomenclature called the blue economy in a portfolio arrangement. And I believe that the government is looking at the diversification of the economy and taking advantage of new opportunities and opportunities that can be resilient and that can also be sustainable. What are the opportunities we are looking at where the blue economy is concerned?
Well, in terms of the blue economy, one of the main things that we are looking at is the preservation of our marine resource and the boundaries, so to speak, the beaches and upstream, because that is critical in terms of the survival of the marine resource. In terms of, prior to COVID, we were having discussion with National Geographic as they were working to come on island to do some exposure in terms of our coral reefs and how we go about restoring those coral reefs in areas like Champagne, because it's a tourism product. We have had discussions with the Ministry of Tourism. They are on board as well. But in terms of the economic activity within the blue economy, one of the areas that we are proud of and we are moving into is the export of fish. During the last month, we exported about 5,000 pounds to St. Kitts. We exported 2,000 pounds to St. Martin a few weeks ago. And there's a new market that we're hoping, if all goes well, we'll be doing somewhere in the region of 10,000 pounds of yellowfin tuna, marlin, and dolphin on a monthly basis. So that is an area that we are looking at. In terms of training and developing of new skills, as it is now, we are going to train some persons in the Newtown area in terms of drying and smoking of the fish, so that we add value in terms of the export and, of course, local consumption.
Sounds good. Now, the Japanese government is providing us with support to repair both the Marigot and the Rosal Fisheries Complex. Can you give us an update on this?
Well, prior to COVID, we should have been in Japan signing the agreement for the loan facility, well, the grant facility, sorry. COVID again delayed this a bit, but we have worked with the Japanese government to have this done virtually and otherwise. So we already commenced some preparatory works in terms of the cleaning of the site for this. But some fishermen have complained of the storage issue and the ice. We recognize the storage issue because there's quite a lot of fish on island, and that it would be due to the fads that we would have installed a few years ago. But in terms of ice, what we have been doing is making ice available across the country to the farmers, the fishermen, sorry. So if fishermen are having difficulties in terms of ice, I would advise them to call the ministry and we will work in terms of facilitating
So the ice making machine at the Rosa Fisheries Complex is functional?
Yes, it's functional. We have one at Newtown, we installed one at Ansdime recently. We have one at Marigot and Sansove.
And then the contractual sum that we're receiving from the Japanese government is
$10 million
US
dollars. It's likely to be a little bit more based on the plans and designs.
Yeah.
But it's in the region of just over $10 million US dollars for the repairs and upgrade to the facilities.
Okay, so that's a major investment in fisheries.
Yes.
Absolutely. Major investment.
So we should see some improvement in terms of the storage facility and, of course, ice making.
Okay. what are your final words to the public? What else can we expect from agriculture and the blue economy? And with your leadership and guidance?
Well, firstly, I would like to thank the...
You're a farmer as well?
I do some farming, backyard gardening.
What do you grow?
Lettuce, tomatoes. I am into beets. I have quite a lot of beets at this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you make juice?
Yeah, I love the juice.
You put sugar in it?
No sugar.
No sugar. What gives your final words?
I would like to thank...
So Ian, you grow anything?
Yes, I just started.
You just started.
I know you were coming to that. Actually, I was following the almanac, and yesterday I spent some time in my backyard garden planting some kale, some tomato, and some lettuce. And I have some small seasoning pepper plants and sweet pepper plants I want to put in. And by the almanac, by on the 29th or the 30th of this month, I should be able to.
So you have an almanac in your hand, and every day you study that. Good this underground, good this above ground,
Yes,
the killing of the weeds,
yes.
the pruning of plants and so on. So you're watching that.
I tried the first set about 2 weeks ago, but the sun was so hot that it burned all the tomato plants. So I had to go back in now and put in some new plants. So I'm hoping that they will do much better.
Grant, please.
No, I would like to firstly thank the staff within the ministry, because over the last 6 months I can say that I received the full cooperation from Extension, Fisheries, the administrative staff. So I would like to thank them for their support. But I would also like to thank the farmers, the fishermen, the vendors who are forever peddling the produce of our farmers, the supermarkets who have come on stream in terms of making sure that there is a regular display of fresh produce in the supermarkets. I would like to also say thank you to them, the hucksters, the large exporters, but most importantly, I would like to thank the consumers who buy local, and I would like to encourage them to continue to buy local and eat local. I would just like to urge our young people to get back to the land. Let's get back into agriculture. There is money to be made. The Ministry of Agriculture will support you fully. The government is behind you. And most important thing I would like to leave with the listeners tonight and the young farmers or persons interested in farming, let us not treat farming as a pastime. Let us treat it as a business, and that is the only way we would be able to grow the industry in terms of farming. But we must be consistent in our quality and our quantity in order to grow the industry.
And our price as well.
Yes.
We have to understand supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
And that's important. But I am very excited myself about agriculture. And I agree with you, there are opportunities. We're moving, as you know, as you have been leading for hydroponics, greenhouse technology, not only just a covering, but smart greenhouses. You want to tell us about these two things you're working on?
As it is now, we are looking to have a few demonstrations in terms of smart greenhouse, so that the young persons can come and see how you basically control the greenhouse from your phone using an app. So we're hoping that before the end of the year that we can have a few of these greenhouse imported. They're quite efficient. And
so those of us who are viewing can see this.
Right.
That's in Portsmouth.
That's in
the
Portsmouth.
Chinese Agriculture Technical Mission.
Right, that's correct. It's a 525 square meters smart greenhouse. It can produce up to 240,000 seedlings per month. And we are looking to see if we can get a smaller scale for demonstration in terms of for our young people. In terms of the hydroponics, we have been in discussion. As it is now, we have an FAO technical specialist on island who is working with us to develop and teach the technology. What we are looking to do again is the demonstration, because we need to be able to show the young people how to do it and the training.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you.
Ian,
Minister, I'm absolutely excited. As you heard from the Ministry of Agriculture, we too in the Ministry of Trade are supporting the Ministry of Agriculture from the production end. We're taking care of the export and also of the local markets. So I think we are well placed. Like you said, we restructure index here, the whole philosophy, the whole ideology behind pushing the fresh produce from Dominica, not only on our local plates, but on the foreign markets. And I believe we have the shipping in place to do it. We have the pack houses that will give us the standards and put our produce out there in a form and in a structure that will make it appealing, will make it exciting, will make it be able to compete with all of the other foreign products in the region. So we're very, very excited about the new thrust as we go forward.
I think that where Dexter and the Park House are concerned, we need to maybe speak more to the public.
Yes.
To let people know what the Park House is buying, what prices, and what frequency, what volume. So I think we may need to engage also Dexter to engage the public more. So I want to thank both of you for being here this evening. Obviously, that is an ongoing discussion because on our, with yourselves, Minister of Trade and Minister of Agriculture, cannot be enough time. Agriculture is critical. The export of agricultural produce is critically important. There is a very keen interest in this, and we would want for us to continue working on this.
Sure.
I mean, before you guys leave, I'm not sure when last you ate some watermelon. But being that this stuff is local,
yes,
I mean, you guys eat fruits?
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys eat sweet tea and so on from the shops and so on. You know, so we want to. That's from Hillary. You know Hillary.
I know Hillary very well. I know
the guy who calls you radio all the time.
I know Hillary very well.
But all the respect to him, he's a serious farmer.
Very serious farmer. Very serious exporter too.
Serious farmer.
Yes.
And besides his politics, he's a serious farmer.
Definitely.
Though I think you're on the wrong side, but
nice,
that's top quality. I mean, I don't know why we're buying this thing from.
Yeah. Excellent.
Guys. Grant, here you go.
We call that like a program.
You have to try something, you know. I won't be Prime Minister all my life, you know. I have to look for another job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes.
So, I think we take a break, right? They say we take a break.
Yes.
A 2-minute break. Yeah. While we eat some watermelon.
We are in the hurricane season. Here are some tips to keep your families and communities safe. Before a hurricane, ensure that you know your emergency shelters. Contact the Office of Disaster Management for information on shelters closest to you. Have disaster supplies on hand, non-perishable canned food and water, portable battery-operated radios, flashlights and extra batteries, essential medicines, first aid kits, cash and bank cards. In the home, protect your windows. A low-cost approach is to put up plywood panels. Trim branches away from your home and cut all dead or weak branches on any trees on your property. Check into your home and auto insurance. Confirm that policies are valid and coverage is appropriate. Make arrangements for pets and livestock. Develop an emergency communication plan. Make sure that all family members know what to do. Teach family members how and when to turn off gas, electricity, and water. During a hurricane watch, listen to the radio or television for hurricane progress reports. Avoid open flames such as candles and kerosene lamps as a source of light. If power is lost, turn off major appliances to reduce power surge when electricity is restored. Store drinking water in clean jugs, bottles, and cooking utensils. During a hurricane warning, if you need to evacuate your home, lock up and go to the nearest shelter. Take blankets or sleeping bags to the shelter. Listen constantly to a radio or television for official instructions. Store valuables and personal papers in a waterproof container on the highest level of your home. Stay inside, away from windows and glass doors.
All right, thank you. Welcome back. You know, we had a watermelon break. I wish I could send some to all of you who are listening and viewing this. Next week, I want to focus on health. I recently met with the National Health Commission. As you know, the government appointed a National Health Commission chaired by the distinguished medical doctor, Dr. Shillingford. And there are many important things happening with that commission, and I would like us to assess the work ongoing to improve the administration of the health sector and to update its mandate amidst the new challenges posed by COVID-19. So we will have the Minister for Health, Honorable Dr. McIntyre, who will be with us along with the membership of the Health Commission. As we all know, work is progressing satisfactorily at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital, and we want to thank our friends, the People's Republic of China, for working. We never stopped working even if COVID was around, because the hospital is critical to the hurricane season and beyond. Work is also progressing satisfactorily on the Marigot Hospital, a massive edifice, huge structure that we believe will transform the delivery of healthcare services in the Marigot Health District. There are several health centers that are due to open soon. There are some that are open. We're now waiting the furniture and equipment that's been delayed, but they'll be here in a few weeks' time. Once they arrive, then we will have formal ceremonies to commission these health centers. I'm talking about Bellevue-Chopin, I'm talking about Vickers, I'm talking about Portsmouth. We have settled the lands in Newtown, and thank you to the landowner there who has agreed to sell us some 18,000 square feet of land close to the Catholic Church. And I want to commend the efforts of the PAL rep for pushing this forward. We are making progress in Soufriere, and I'm hoping that we can conclude. The PAL rep has been at the forefront of leading the efforts in that. In Ansdeme, we have settled the lands, and to the efforts of the PAL rep who has spoken to the landowners. Collio, we are discussing with the landowner. I believe there was a meeting last week, and we're hoping that we can make some progress with this. So we're making progress where health is concerned, and we will get updates from the Minister for Health, Dr. McIntyre, next week. And of course, with all of these health centers, these modern smart health centers, with the new hospital, with the new Marigot Hospital, with the number of investments we've made in improvement of health facilities and training of people, we have to start looking at new policies, new guidelines for the administration of healthcare system in Dominica, and how can we address more effectively issues of quality. People complain, rightly and wrongly so, but we have a duty and a responsibility to take note of the complaints of the public. And so we believe with the new health, new administrative structure, it will be able to address a number of the challenges which we, the public, have been raising about the healthcare services in Dominica. So it's not only about the buildings, it's also about the structures, the management structures, and the policies, and the legislation. So legislation will go to Parliament, and we're giving ourselves a deadline by September of this year to, one, bring in a medical health professionals bill to the Parliament that will manage and govern the affairs of health professionals and how they conduct themselves. And also we'll be creating a hospital authority. A hospital authority is a statutory entity which will have the authority in law, and there'll be a new structure at the hospital to address issues. So with this new structure, our hope is, and of course we'll get more details next week, but our hope is the CT scan should not be down for so long, for example, that we have to find a quicker means of setting up these things and addressing the dysfunctional nature of some of this equipment that are so badly needed in the proper delivery of healthcare services. So there are a number of very exciting things are happening. I want to commend the Health Commission for the work, and also the Minister for his leadership. Also, the Minister will give us an update on the opening of our borders and what protocols we're going to put in place for testing of people who are coming in, whether we're going to quarantine people, and when they come in, or we're just going to test them. They test negative, they go home, they go to the hotels, they test positive, we address their circumstance. So we look forward to this. And so whatever questions you may have, please, you can forward them in advance. I've been told one-on-one@anupale.com. So you can send questions in advance. We'll take note of those questions, as I did with the ministers this evening. All of the questions I asked came from you, the public. And so we look forward to your suggestions. I would also want to speak before we leave, because I have been told that we have to keep to time. They say last time Skerrit went over time and it was end at 8 o'clock, so they put in cards up to me and tell me time is up and so on. You know, I don't like to be in a straight jacket, but you know, what can you do? They say I have 15 minutes. We have to talk about responsibility in this country. We talk about what government should do, what government must do, what government has to do. This is fine. That's our duty, that's our responsibility. But I believe that we in our country, we have to speak about responsibility. We have to be more constructive in our country. We have to be more positive in our country. We will always have our differences, but we need to be more constructive in our country. And we all want a better Dominica. The question is, what are you prepared to do to assist in the development of Dominica? Talk is cheap. And we've talk shows, as one leader in the Caribbean once said, talk is even cheaper. Are you prepared to, you know, put your hand to the plow and to assist with nation building? We do not have all of the ideas in the government as to how to run this country. We don't have a monopoly on this. But I believe that Dominica has sufficient talent and skills within our jurisdiction, or territorial jurisdiction, to get things going. But there's just too much negativity in our country, and too many people are not thinking positively about Dominica. So, are we taking questions? Are we taking calls? We can take calls, because I rather hear from the people rather than me speaking to them. But there's a lot of work to be done. We are in the still COVID period. There is a concern about reopening our borders and ensuring that we can protect our citizens from being infected. But as I said last time, we have to open our borders. And we have to open our borders. So you could call 611-3400 or 225-3400 if you have any questions or suggestions for us. So I'm hoping that with this program, Anupale, we can hear from you as you hear from us, because it is through this constructive, positive, mutually respectful engagement we can make a difference in this country and we can address the issues. We saw tonight a phone call, please. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening to you.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
So I want to say Happy Father's Day to my Prime Minister, One With PM Skerrit, the doctor. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Happy Father's Day to you, my PM.
Thank you.
How is the wife?
Everybody's fine. She's fine. Thank you.
Okay, God bless you.
God bless you too.
You're doing a fantastic job, and there's no one before you but God. And no one will be after you. You are the most perfect Prime Minister we ever have in this country. And may you continue to do the work for the Lord. You are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And don't worry the enemies that fighting you. God is in control of your life.
Thank you very much.
He's your protector and director. And I claim that precious blood of the Lamb of God from the crown of your head to the sole of your foot. No weapon that form against you cannot prosper. God is your director, and I'm praying for you every day, night and day.
Thank you very much. We lost the caller. Sorry. We have another call, please? Go ahead, please. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Go ahead.
PM, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay, my brother. Let me tell you that PM. Hello, good night.
Yes, go ahead, I'm listening.
I'm telling you that you just like Joshua the prophet.
Hello?
Hello?
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes, you're hearing my voice. I'm not hearing you.
But don't listen to your television. Turn the television off. Or
Turn the television off.
yeah, and listen to us. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes. I need to talk to my PM.
That's Skerrit. Yes, I'm here.
That's Skerrit. That's
Yes.
not Skerrit voice. You better stop your nonsense, sir. Are you going to give me the PM to talk on the phone to wish him happy Father's Day?
That's Skerrit speaking to you, darling. Go ahead.
Hi, good night, PM. Happy Father's Day. Why are you all doing this?
Thank you very much.
PM, I need to talk to you. It's an emergency. I've been trying to get you on all avenues. I cannot get you. Take my phone number to call me.
We'll take your number and we'll call you, okay?
What you say?
We have your number, we'll call you.
You will what?
We will call you, we will call you.
You make sure, because if you don't make him call me the next time, I wouldn't be saying nothing nice on the radio station. I want in you.
Thank you very much, darling. God bless you. Have a good night. Sleep well. Go ahead. Next caller, please. Or do you have a WhatsApp message or call us? Hello, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hi. Please turn off your television and follow us, please.
Good night, PM.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Happy Father's Day to you all. What I was concerned, in Dominica, it have about 60% Haitian are doing farmers. Labor, working with the people on the land and the field. So what I'm concerned is, I have two of them working with me. I'm a Haitian also. But each time the man have to leave this job and come Roseau for them to renew the work permit. I would like you to give a word of that, what that caused now when they come and renew the work permit. So they said they not receive no work permit for them right now.
You're talking about the work permits?
Yes.
Yeah. I take note of your concerns about they have to come into town. As you know, we've tried to facilitate the Haitian community. They are our brothers and sisters. They are our CARICOM brothers and sisters as well. We have quite a number of them here. Many of them are engaged in constructive activities that are all aiding the economy of Dominica. They're providing labor in a number of sectors of the economy. And we appreciate their presence in Dominica. And we welcome them to our country and to be part of the Dominican community. The vast majority of them are law-abiding citizens. They respect the laws of Dominica, our constitution. But you will also agree that there are some who engage in activities that place Dominica in some difficulty, especially those who leave our shores illegally and go into Guadeloupe and Martinique and St. Martin. That is something that I would like the Haitian community to assist us in eliminating. I think if we can eliminate this, it places a greater level of trust and confidence of us further facilitating our Haitian brothers and sisters in Dominica. So I think if we can address this issue, my brother, then one could maybe get longer term work permits rather than the shorter term work permits which they're currently getting. So if we can work on this, I've met many of you here, you're really constructive, hardworking people. So I take note of your concern, but there are ways of addressing it. Next caller, please.
Good evening, Prime Minister.
Hi, good evening to you.
Mr. Skerrit?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Mingo. I'm calling from England, and it's with regard to my auntie who applied for in Lapland, who applied for an apartment and she didn't receive her keys. I'm not sure if you've heard of the case.
Well, I don't have I will have to find out about this for you.
Sorry?
I can't give you a response to this. All I can do is ask a question tomorrow morning of the minister. So I will find out about this particular person. And I'm sure the minister...
Should I give you...
Well, I'm sure when the parliamentary rep and also the minister is listening, so we will certainly look at this question that you're having in respect to this particular person. Okay?
Can we text you her name?
I've taken note of the name, so we have the name. You said the name, so I've noted the name. Kathy Mingo.
That's my name.
That's your name. What's
Her
your
name
name?
is. Her name is.
Or
It's
text
me
us.
named Pascal.
Text us the name, please. Send a text to us.
Okay.
Okay, darling. God bless you then. Go ahead, please. Caller.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. PM.
I'm hearing you,
Happy
my
Father's Day
friend.
to you.
Go ahead.
Right, thank you. I do have a problem, sir. And I just want to see if you can help me. My wife was afforded a house. I've gone for her and she did not get her keys. She was in the first ceremony and now the second one just went on Wednesday. She was not, she did not get her keys. So I was just asking you, look into it. Her name is, would you like me to give you the name, Mr. PM?
It's up to you. It's up to you. Go ahead.
Or Decima Williams, Decima Roberts Williams. I've gone for.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Next caller. We'll take two more callers and then we'll close it. Go ahead, please.
Hi, PM. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you.
I'm calling from Bells.
Bells, I recognize your voice. How are you?
I'm good, PM.
And I will give you a call tomorrow, okay?
Tomorrow you got prayer?
God's willing, yes.
Yes, make sure because PM I need to talk to you.
I know.
Okay.
All right, darling.
Love you. Have a good night.
Love you too. God bless you, madam.
Okay.
Next caller, please. Hello? That's it. Well, I want to thank all the callers and those who sent text messages, WhatsApp messages to us. We look forward to speaking with you next Sunday, God's willing. Again, I wish everybody a wonderful evening. Let us wake up tomorrow morning early, go to work to serve our God and our country. Dominica needs us. We are going through uncharted waters with regards to COVID-19 and the implications and the challenges which COVID-19 has brought onto Dominica and the world. But I believe that we can overcome those challenges. These challenges are not to cause us to be daunted. It calls for us to give a greater commitment to ourselves and our country and our fellow men. And I believe if we renew our commitment to our country, we can overcome these challenges. I mean, Maria was devastating, followed, succeeding Erica. And we worked together and overcame the challenges. Many of us, if not all of us in this country, never thought that Dominica would have rebounded. And we rebounded much quicker than all of us expected. So let us work together to overcome these challenges. We have to be responsible. We have to manage our money. This is not a time for us to go and spend on things that we do not need. You spend on things that you need. So let us manage our monies and not waste. We have to conserve. We have to be responsible. And we have to be focused in this time. So thank you very much, my dear brothers and sisters. Thanks for your calls. Thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing this program. We look forward to speaking with you next Sunday before Minister for Health, Honorable McIntyre, and the members of the Commission. Thank you. Sleep well. God bless you. God bless our country. And God bless the Caribbean and the world. Thank you.